What might occur assuming I took steroids for 30 days is a lifetime, however. These days it seems like countless competitors, entertainers and, surprisingly, web-based entertainment forces to be reckoned with are jumping on the juice. It got me thinking how serious the sign impacts what that initial 30 days on juice feels like, and the amount of progress might it at some point make. I need to address individuals with first-hand experience of the discussions I had were not just eye-opening, yet they drove me to a choice I never figured I would make. First, I connected with a veteran to give me the general tour. Jaws is one of the world's top jocks, wrapping up in the main 25 as a Mr. Olympia contender. Get the wrist definitely, and as he trained me through one of his presenting schedules, it was not difficult to see the reason why he's quite possibly the best on the planet. Does your mother know you're taking steroids? She's called me holding it. I've never let it out. No, so she doesn't have the foggiest idea about. No, she doesn't know, like she's never gotten me to just let it out. I'm like no mother, everything's regular, just creating. Jaws won his most memorable rivalry as a characteristic back in 2014, however, when he begun contending in front of an audience against uprated weightlifters. The chose to taking steroids was basically an unquestionable requirement if he needed to continue to propel. First day, you had it in your grasp, and you're going to infuse yourself strolling it through. Like what was going through what might occur in the event that I took steroids for 30 days is a lifetime, yet these days it seems like such countless competitors, entertainers and, surprisingly, virtual entertainment forces to be reckoned with are jumping on the juice. It got me thinking how serious the sign impacts what does that initial 30 days on juice feel like, and the amount of progress might it at some point make. I needed to address individuals with first-hand experience. The discussions I had were not just eye-opening, however, they drove me to a choice I never figured I would make. First, I connected with a veteran to give me the general tour. Jaws is one of the world's top weightlifters, wrapping up in the best 25 as a Mr. Olympia contender. Snatched the wrist, no doubt, and as he trained me through one of his presenting schedules, it was not difficult to see the reason why he's quite possibly the best on the planet. Does your mother know you're taking steroids? She's called me holding it. I've recently nurture. I would even not like to jab myself, to be straightforward, cause I was like my hand by the needles in my grasp. I'm like it was my glute here, so I was like shaking, so I didn't need to jab my butt with a shuddering hand, so I really has asked my sweetheart at the time to do it for me. While today Jaws takes an assortment of Pez for rivalries, he began with the chemical most new clients start with testosterone. It's a characteristic chemical that the body as of now creates, however, infusing yourself with beyond what your body could at any point produce normally can prompt some really crazy outcomes. One review took 43 men and then isolated them into two gatherings. Every week the folks were given either 600 mg of testosterone or a fake treatment. However, they were likewise separated into a gathering that didn't resolve and a gathering that did. 10 weeks after the fact, the folks who were taken testosterone had levels that were 3 to multiple times higher than ordinary. However, you most likely anticipated that what's insane is they tracked down that simply taking testosterone without practicing was still incredibly viable for building muscle. As a matter of fact, it was viable to the point that the testosterone with no activity bunch assembled more muscle than the gathering that was practicing while taking the fake treatments. So for Jaws, who had as of now been preparing normally for 8 years with a few working out breezes added to his repertoire, I was interested to know how it impacted him from the very first moment. Did you sort out that day? I figure it did, no doubt. Better believe it, and I was very much like in my mind thinking like I'm as of now feeling more grounded out. That is going half to I felt as I don't realize I simply care about a super saiyan, and presently it's like I'm on a mission, like I'm pursuing it. Interesting sufficient it wasn't simply Jaws who felt a quick contrast I too addressed for giving a 26-year-old ex-steroid client who had a comparative experience. I assumed I was the greatest buddy on the planet. Like the following day I Swear I was extremely roused constantly. I turned into a certainly the run-of-the-mill manly individual. I turned out to be extremely manly. Pursued choices really fast. I was dependably on the objective. My brain was terminating day in and day out. I certainly felt the distinction in energy, like greater essentialness. Am like more like I'm prepared to like you know up sort of thing. That is the reason I was so eager to the rec center all the time, continually thinking more movement and getting more grounded. What's more, getting greater see just doesn't simply influence your muscles. Making such a enormous hormonal lopsidedness in your body can influence your state of mind, energy levels, certainty, lead to even your craving. I was eating more like we immediately. I was so ravenous all the damn time, like whether I was awakening solidly in the first part of the day or hit like going to many works. I need to eat all day, every day, like not I'm not going to falsehood, and I reveled a great deal of food. The insane thing is I wasn't acquiring too as well, far too simultaneously. You're simply consuming all that you eat. Like I would have a cheat dinner consistently and keep super strong abs, so I would, all things considered, look better having cheat feasts. Right now I'm thinking more energy, more inspiration, and being more appealing later. Cheat feasts where might I at any point send up, and this was even before they let me know how was helping them in the exercise center strength-wise. I think it was like 2.5 weeks and 3 weeks I began seeing some strength in PES, and afterward as we progress into the cycle, that is the point at which we resembled, better believe it, I just tossed loads that I didn't know I could toss. I would make an appearance to the rec center. Furthermore, I resembled what shoulder squeezing like 665-70 pounds before I was short up. On one occasion, never at any point attempted, I was like, how about we simply do 100,000, 110, we should take care of business. How about we do what needs to be done once? The fourth week hit out of nowhere. It went very much like I hit like nuz, my solidarity just sore, like I began to like leap in my numbers with my lifts. I was like hopping up, jumping up in my numbers, and moderate overburden way faster than I didn't was before. Now concerning genuine muscle development, I investigated it, and as indicated by the exploration, regular lifters can acquire somewhere in the range of 20 to 40 pounds of muscle in the course of their life. However, for folks on gear, it goes up to an incredible 45 to 120 pounds currently. I've acquired a absolute of around 30 pounds of muscle of all time since I began working out, and the muscle building process has just gotten more slow. I'm fortunate on the off chance that I can acquire even several pounds of muscle in a solitary year. Yet how might this change in the event that I jumped on the juice? I would agree that like if you are upgraded, you can most likely placed on around like 10 to 20 pounds of tissue in your most memorable year. Goodness, actually better believe it, I got to say subsequent to presenting close to jaws in the mirror and pondering the probability of having the option to acquire 10 to 20 pounds of muscle in a solitary year. It's enticing, however, assuming that I was going to discard my natty card for life. There was only another inquiry I wanted Jaws to answer. How is the size of your tessie? Transform, I mean, assuming you Google search it. It's pretty as it's out there, like everybody realizes your tessie recalls your penis doesn't bow. Okay, the penis is penis remains something very similar, so don't, that is the wrong thought, like a you know that the penis doesn't shrivel, assuming that anything looks greater in light of the fact that somewhat more modest definitely the to shrivel and is entirely recognizable. It's like practically like it goes to like so, like this and afterward, and it's like peanuts. Actually, no doubt little with respect to why this happens when you take an exogenous chemical like testosterone. Your body basically thinks, hello, I don't have to create this any longer. You let your cerebrum know that it's as of now getting what it needs from this outside source. And for folks, since testosterone is basically delivered in the testicles, well, they kind of wilt up in light of the fact that they're no more required. Yet this can make greater difficulties, and afterward, out of nowhere, you jump off the test. It's like that creation you, regardless of what you do, no matter what sort of mixtures you take to bring back the creation of it, no matter how well you are improving your rest your pressure doesn't change, and that is the point at which you know you're somewhat bound to taking to and for just this prompted a few complexities I didn't notice on my issues, so like erectile brokenness, no doubt better believe it getting a bit individual with it, however definitely, as was it, difficult for me to persuade it up to tell the truth, and afterward it required an investment to restore my chemicals once again levels. No doubt this is where it began to get stressed. For one, I could have done without the thought of being reliant upon testosterone. Furthermore, infusing myself with the needle for the remainder of my life, and as I found out, from merciful, only 1 out of every odd change that comes from taking testosterone is positive. The exercise center made chanced upon me, and I totally flipped the switch. I was simply like, watch where you're going, man, like, without holding back, and I didn't understand that when it emerged from my mouth. However, it was a extremely forceful tone. Right now my choice wasn't looking so obvious as it used to. However, what might be said about every one of the entertainers and online entertainment forces to be reckoned with on juice. Unquestionably, not every person who takes steroids runs into these issues, right, particularly in the event that they're simply involving them for a brief time. Well, I needed to become familiar with the dangers from a specialist. Fortunately for me, there could be no greater individual than Steroids mentor and instructor John J.W.T. of J3 College. So a great deal of folks are stressed about momentary secondary effects when you're youthful, right? You will stress about your hair or testis shrinkage, or on the other hand, skin breakout. Yet the genuine risks that I would be stressed over, and that ought to continuously be in your subconscious self, the drawn-out dynamic steroid use, which are totally a lot of relevant even in transient use. Conversing with John, he made sense of that. While many individuals make the slip-ups of taking some unacceptable kinds of steroids or some unacceptable doses, regardless of whether you're mindful so as to do everything right, there's as yet an opportunity you won't see the results you're expecting. I've had folks that, man, they take a tad and they get each and every incidental effect, and afterward you have different folks that are utilizing a tack of steroids and they scarcely see any well-being. Injurious impacts, hereditary qualities. Stop all that, it's the reason I'm not Michael Jordan in playing ball. Not too far off was a fascinating report infusing 500 mg of testosterone in these various subjects, and a portion of the folks had testosterone levels that would triple, while different folks didn't ascend that much. At everything is simply down to how they utilize the medications in an unexpected way. What's more, actually assuming that you wind up having them awful response to steroids, the side impacts can become life-threatening. I was an extended getaway one time, man. For the first time I felt like my chest region was harming. That was my most memorable alarm cause. Clearly, Dr. Google says when you search on the web and a chest torment out of no place, you're presumably going to kick the bucket. I, in a real sense, popped my iPhone up to show some light on my chest, and I could see my heart siphoning out of my chest. We see a ton of early passings from heart. I've had some close star working out companions that have died, and in a roundabout way related, right? It heart cardiovascular breakdown gives extremely youthful. What's more, most likely a level of being innocent of what they were doing, and that prompted no doubt early passings in 20s and mid-30s, and I can't work out. The most alarming thing was my thought process. The specialist called the tachycardia, so which was my pulse was not normal. No doubt I needed to get a ton of ECG tests. I had a part of get a ton of ultrasounds to chest X beams to ensure everything's doing great. The most thing we were terrified of was a developed heart. Sure, what this multitude of steroids do there, primary thing is that androgen ties to an androgen receptor. And what does that androgen receptor do? It assembles muscle or forestalls muscle breakdown. Yet you don't simply have androgen receptors on muscle, you have them on the heart, you have them on kidneys, you have them in the mind. So they impact this large number of different tissues. Also, in light of the fact that your number one force to be reckoned with is utilizing it, and he looks alright. doesn't imply that you will have a similar encounter as he does and who understands what he's likewise going through, secretly behind the shut entryways. And for folks like Jaws, this wasn't simply about looking great near the ocean. Weight training is his obsession, and in his world the line between a triumphant Dild and long-haul medical problems is amazingly flimsy. Sincerely, when you need something, man, you're willing to do what anything risk it takes, right? No doubt. Yet I would rather not do it for as well long. That is what I suggest nobody, as a matter of fact, to buy at any point contact BSI. As a weightlifter, I don't suggest individuals contact it except if there's an explanation for it, on the off chance that you're not playing to content that additional piece of muscle. I very try not to see that being worth that additional gamble, having that additional 5 pounds of muscle. Nobody cares, you know, nobody thinks often about that. The natty needs to put much more, way more work, which is the reason I regard individuals who remain normal for the rest like for their entire lives, and it's a ton like harder. Furthermore, more discipline and resolution to remain as a characteristic than if you're enhanced attempting to fabricate muscle. So later, conversing with Jaws, John and Lenient and I going to take the leap and begin utilizing steroids. No, first of all, my Filipino mother, who's likewise a specialist, she'd kill me. However, I've additionally concluded I couldn't want anything more. Continue to get more familiar with this point, so I connected with one of Jaws' clients who's going to begin taking steroids, and he's consented to let me follow his excursion for the following 90 days. Furthermore, I need to check whether I can mentor a characteristic lifter to stay aware of the advancement of somebody taking juice. Now, we'll have more to share from this explore in around 90 days. Yet in the interim, if you had any desire to find a savvy's method for building muscle is a regular, then give this video watch straight away, where I interview 7 of the world's most brilliant muscle building specialists. However, for those of you who need more direction and need a demonstrated, simple to follow program that deals with all the visitor work for you, head over to builtwithscience.com to track down the best methodology for yourself as well as your body. Thank you kindly for watching. I'll see you sometime later.